What are you like? What are you like? Hello, whoever's come in. Sorry, she just landed on my head. I'm just going in to share. So bear with me one moment. Thank you for the thumbs up. Just need to. Looks like. Let's have a look, see. Cool. Hold on, let me just copy. Let me just go in. I'm just going to share it on some Telegram channels. And then I shall be with you. If you don't mind sharing, that would be lovely. So, leave it alone. Darcy B. Ah, boo-boo, I'm just watching Charlie. I know, right? I've got him on. He was actually on with this guy called Alan Hewitt. And basically, yeah, I'm going to be speaking about what he was talking about. That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's, yeah, it's something that I had a sort of an idea about. And Mr. Big Man's in the house. Hello, honey. Angie. All right, hun. Nicholas guy. Ah, that might be one of the others. I've been away for effectively away for a couple of days. It was my mum's birthday yesterday, and the whole family just descended on her. So we we literally had like a meal. They turned up early. We had a meal, and I was out for most of the day. No, the RSVP do not approve of such a hat, and she's loving the fact that she's on my head. I don't usually let her, because she's not house trained. Are you? No, you're not. So she can sit on my shoulder until she can no longer sit on my shoulder, because if she shits, she's off and done. No, you can't take my mascara off either. She does try, trust me. So yeah, and then today I've had my sister here, so I haven't done any research whatsoever until way later this afternoon. And yeah, and basically he's live now talking about the reset. Well, I caught him on the one where he was talking to Alan Hewitt, and basically what they were saying was that they were talking about having another. Alan Hewitt has set up it's like an alternative to YouTube where all of the banned videos can go, and they were talking about the doctors and how these doctors are being deplatformed just because they dare to go against what the WHO supposedly is saying, and the CDC. But basically the CDC and the WHO have actually said that the coronavirus is actually being downgraded from a highly contagious disease. So there's no reason for the lockdown, and there's no reason for the masks. So I've listened to him over a few times, and DD1, you're right. Yes, she is, Darcy B. And basically, from what I can glean, what they're trying to do is they're trying to push the British people by giving us these goddamn awful rules and regulations for absolutely no reason, right? And they want more people to wake up. And when more people wake up, get off my head. When more people wake up, it won't be such a shock when the new financial system comes in. And I thought we had until the end of the year. But apparently, the quantum financial system is it's going live. I mean, it's live at the moment, but it's going live as of the 31st of August, which is amazing. Excuse me. No, I don't have corona. Yes, I know. So anyway, sorry. So he was talking about that. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to push people into discomfort until they get so frustrated they think for themselves. So I went out for a meal with a friend of mine. He comes on here, Chris B. And we were chatting away, and the owner of the restaurant came over and we were having a talk with him. Now, he's from Turkey, and he went back to Turkey last year and so on and so forth. And he got really ill when he came back. So he swears he's had the coronavirus early in, I think it was September last year. So he absolutely swears blind he's had it. And we were chatting away, and he can't understand. He does not understand why everything is being shut down, all the rules and regulations, the stupidness, the absolute stupidness. I mean, I don't know whether you've heard if you're outside of the UK, but what they're doing at the moment, they're saying that when the kids go back to school in September, get off my ears. When the kids go back to school in September, they're going to close down the restaurants and pubs again, right? Which is actually making people question, which is really good. And whenever I speak to people, I ask them to go onto the Office of National Statistics and check out the death rate, because obviously the death rate this year is actually lower than last year. And I say obviously because people have been locked down. People have been locked down, so they haven't had like the accidents and everything like that they would usually have. But the main thing is there hasn't been an excess of people dying from coronavirus. And that's a fact, right? Rising Green says, I'm having the best year ever. It's amazing, and I'm in tip-top form today. Which, do you know what? Since I stopped working, hi, Billy. Since I stopped working, I feel amazing. And do you know, that was literally because I've unplugged. I've unplugged from the system. And by unplugging from the system, everything starts to feel right again, which is phenomenal. Git, will you stop it? Here we go again. So basically what I wanted to do was just to play you. I don't know whether you're going to be able to hear it, so you're going to have to let me know. Let me turn it up to the absolute max it can go.
150,000 of the testing kits have been proved to be contaminated.
Oh, yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me. When will people wake up to all this stuff coming out? This is all a smokescreen. I said it right from day one, right back in February, March time. During my little walks along the beach, and I was telling people what was going to happen. I told them about the smokescreen because it's collapsing the world's economy, and they've done an amazing job. What you said, the collateral damage, they needed to do that. It's very sad that they need to do that because the world was bankrupt on the fiat financial system. That system will come to an end on the 31st of August this year. Had hard evidence of that yesterday. And the quantum financial system will come into operation on the 1st of September. Now, a number of people who've been following this have been asking the question about a period of darkness. I would suggest that if there was going to be a period of darkness, it would probably be in the month of September. And I don't know that for sure, because I've heard there's going to be food shortages, I've heard there's going to be a period of darkness, I've heard there's going to be a number of things. The most important thing is if you're awake, you won't be stressed. Or if you're aware, you won't be stressed. If you're unaware or you're asleep, you'll wake up and wonder what the hell is happening. And you'll be stressed, you may have a heart attack, you might even kill yourself. Because of the simple fact you've been in a coma. You don't know what's happening. You've just been so blinkered, you haven't listened to anybody else. All the advice has been out there, it's all out there. You've chosen to ignore it. And it's very, very sad. But there'll be a huge change in September. And then obviously through that change, there will be a revaluation of currency, which I've said all the way along. That'll happen in that window. And then, of course, then we run it nicely through October to the election.
Okay. So basically, what he's saying is that the financial reset comes in at the end of August, and that there's the change is going to happen in such a way, and the amount of information that's going to come out is going to be so huge that people who have been sleeping through all of this, being good little sheeples and watching the BBC News and doing what they're told, 3rd of November is the election in America. But what they're saying is that it's coming before then. He's making no bones about this. I mean, he's going all out. I mean, the payroll deferral is one massive, great big thing, and he's saying that he would, if he gets in, make that more permanent, which is obviously the start of the Nasara side of things. Stop it. But also the changes that need to come in, the quantum financial system is more than just the financial system. We're going to be going into a different way of logging, of working, of sort of government overseeing and everything. So there's going to be a huge change, and then add that to what we expect to be coming, which is, you know, quite a lot of people are going to be arrested, and then there'll be some information about why that happened and how that happened. There's a lot of people who are blindly looking at these things and just literally will be shocked to the absolute core, and that's where we come in. We need to hold the hands of these people. The whole push, right? The whole of this year, and I didn't wake up until way after the COVID was set and the lockdown was in. But I was shouting about the fact that nothing made sense way before that, and you can go back on my videos and see that. But basically, what they've been trying to do is push people so far that they actually do start asking questions. And the problem is with the British people, they haven't. They've just, what we do is we do what we're told until we're pushed beyond a certain point. And unfortunately, the British people, until they see it on mainstream TV, will never, ever do anything about it. Because the minority at the moment, the silent, and it still is a minority in the UK, so silent majority in America, there is a silent minority in the UK that are awake and talking to people and, you know, doing things like I do, send the link to the government website where it states about the downgrading of COVID to the local chemist, hoping that somebody will read it and maybe one person out of there might actually start to talk about it. And that's the whole point. We need to be talking to people who will talk to people who will talk to people. That's the ripple effect, the butterfly effect. And that's what QAnon, I think, is all about, to try and get people talking about it so that they go and do their own research, that they hear something and they hear something else and it doesn't quite make sense, because people are telling them to make questions, to be questioning, ask questions. Don't just blindly take what you're told. You know, we've had so many misinformations come through from the UK government, and it's only now that people are starting to go, do you know what, that doesn't make sense. And the only reason that people are saying, do you know what, that doesn't make sense, because a couple of people on the news have actually said that. So you know, because of that, that's actually woken up a few more people, thank God. But until we do, and people start marching, and it, you know, we're showing the government that we're ready. If we don't do that, and more people don't wake up, then when this does come in, and it's coming in sooner than what everyone thought, I think, then there's going to be an awful lot of lost people out there. And yes, we will hold their hands, but there's going to be some that is going to be so lost and not be able to reach out to people like us to discuss it, to talk through it, to try and understand it. And that's what QAnon has been all about, or the Q movement has been all about, trying to get people woken up, red-pilled, aware, even subtly aware of what's going on in the background doesn't actually make sense, so that when this actually starts to hit, and it does need to for change to happen. I mean, we're in the biggest revolution that we've ever been in, and not shots being fired so far. So it's one of those really weird situations where the end result, the tail is wagging the dog. Let me just go back and see what people have been saying, because if I leave it too long, then I literally just can't catch up. It takes me ages. Rising Green, Darren had an interesting conversation with the queue instructor at Sainsbury's, and his brother runs a mortuary. He says it's terrible. He has never been so busy. Every collection requires 2 hours because of decontamination. So no extra collections, just 40% more work. Same as restaurants, that at the moment they're trying to get people to go back to restaurants. They're actually giving either 50% off or £10 per person at participating restaurants and pubs that give food in order to get people to go out. But what they're doing is they're limiting the amount of people that can be in the restaurant at any one time. Billy says, I'm not buying what this guy is selling. Something this huge would have been released mainstream. Unfortunately, Bill, not if the narrative is to keep people asleep and sleepwalking into the next election, where the next Democrat gets in, whoever it may be. I don't think it's going to be sleepy Joe Biden, but whoever gets in, because they will be bringing in New World Order, and they will undo everything that Trump has done. And unfortunately, the New World Order was the plan. If Clinton had got in, we wouldn't be sitting here talking like this. Because basically, everything, the shit would have hit the fan, and nobody can turn around and say that Hillary Clinton would have looked after people the way that Trump has, and the rest of the world would have been left to burn, literally. And that was the plan. That was the plan. Pretend that there's a virus, which, yes, Angie, will magically disappear on the 4th of November, and that will literally just. That was literally just supposed to get us into the vaccines. There was going to be a lot of people die from the vaccines. There was going to be a lot of people die from fear. I mean, there have been nurses. There have been nurses who have been whistleblowing about the fact that their hospitals, when people go in there with their panic attacks that give the appearance of COVID, respiratory problems, have just been putting people straight into COVID wards. And it's been done because the people in the top who are taking money from somewhere and aren't doctors and nurses, the directives are that you get as many people on ventilators as possible in America. And then in this country, I mean, they talked about ventilators, but I don't know more than a couple of, or a handful of people that say that there was people on ventilators. And unfortunately, they were the people that actually hit the news, not the 99.96% that actually got over this without any problems, not the 80% of people who had the coronavirus that never had any symptoms. It's never there. It's always the bad stuff. And that bad stuff keeps people in fear. And that's a massive, massive problem. Oh, sorry, baby. Rising Green says, it can't be released mainstream, Bill. People's worlds would collapse. Everything you have learned and lived in has been fabricated by industry and media and is false. It's heavy on the head. Well, think about what you went through when you first got red-pilled. I went through a crisis of faith. I couldn't see past my nose at one point. I was a sleepwalker. I was a shell of a person, just doing what I've always done. Get up, go to work, do my work, come back, watch some more red pill stuff. It's, why don't you get on the table? Just go in. Bill says, I would expect the stock market to have taken a serious downturn or some other financial calamity to happen before that happens, am I honest? Bill, it's supposed to, right? It was supposed to. But what have they done? They've been falsely keeping the stock market up by printing money and buying stocks and shares, right? The government has been printing money to buy stocks and shares. full stop. So, you know, it keeps the market up, and when the market keeps up, people keep using it and haven't pulled their money out. But we are in a recession now. Does the market economy look like we're in a massive recession? No. Why? Because they're printing money to falsely give the inference that we are not in a recession, even though we are. This recession's been kicked back since 2008. We were supposed to have it by 2000. We're supposed to have a recession every 9 years to reset the economies to, you know, when you have the boom years, and then we need to withdraw a bit. It's like with crypto. You have the upward trend, and then it has to go back to consolidate. That's a recession. And that was the whole point of it. But what they've been doing is they've been kicking the recessions down the road, so that when the recessions hit, they hit so badly that the elites actually do. I mean, 89's one was literally a run on properties. They got people to buy properties, take out mortgages, overextend themselves, and then they got repossessed when we went into the recession in 2000, early 2000s. And literally the repossession rate went back to the banks. What did the banks do? Sold them again, right? Got their money back. And the people that were in them that actually were in negative equity still had to pay back the money, right? And if they didn't, and they went bankrupt, which a lot of people did, then what happened was the banks were able to claim their insurance against it. I mean, it was a ridiculous situation. The banks were in a win-win situation. They walked away. It was a property grab, an absolute property grab. And then fast forward 20 years. Why 20 years? Why didn't we have the normal recession 9-10 years after 2000, after 98? Because they didn't let it. And then so 2008 was supposed to be a massive, massive recession, right? I was prepared for it. I was in financial services, and it didn't happen. We had a little bit. There was a bit of you know, they look over here and we'll do this over here from the government, and you know, we need to cut down the amount that we're spending, and you know, because of recession we need to cut back on spending, right? So because the banks had fucked us over, the normal people had to have their services cut. So in 2008, people were losing their jobs, they were losing their homes again, another land grab by the banks. And basically the people started making all the bad noises about the fact that they were really unhappy that the banks were yet again getting bailed out. Yet again, it was down to the most low in the society to bolster up the high in society. The people with no money had to keep the people with money, right? So, which is how they've done it ever since. I've said it the other day. Basically, you've got a pie chart, and in that pie chart, the percentage that the people own is getting smaller and smaller and smaller every single recession, and that was the whole point. The federal bank and the central bank system of debt was literally to put the people in debt so that we were earning the money and giving them a percentage, and they're taking our money every single time. We shouldn't be paying tax. You know, there's no reason for us to pay tax. It's almost like it's a game to these people. They run the governments. Doesn't matter who's in power, they're still running the governments. You know, we have the illusion of choice when we have our votes, but in actual fact, it doesn't matter who gets in because it's all part of the agenda. They're chosen. I mean, it literally is that simple. And then the quicker that people actually wake up to that fact, I've been banging on about it for, not on YouTube. I didn't find YouTube till last April, but I've been banging on about it for 20 years. You know, to try and wake people up, to get them to understand that the system is literally set against them. And that is just the way that it has been allowed to be. I'm going to put her in her cage in a minute. So Rising Green says futures bet on 20th of January collapse. Okay, I think 20th of January. I think there's going to be a hiccup a lot sooner than that. I think September we're going to see a massive hiccup on the stock market. That's my personal opinion, because this new quantum financial system is going to make people uneasy about the fact that they are still in the standard stocks and shares on the old system. The unfortunate thing is all of the elites will get their money out, which automatically crashes the system anyway. And they'll put their money either into crypto or gold and silver. And we're seeing that at the moment. That's just the way it is. Gordon Gekko is interviewing Charlie. Oh, soon. That would be rather nice. I'd be really, really interested to watch that. So I'll keep a lookout for that. Sir Gordon. Rising says, Bill, to my point, I had a call 2 days ago from an old friend in tears asking if what she just found out about Disney was real. She's mid-40s, professional, stable, but the truth hurts. Yeah, I mean, when you find out that Monsters Inc. was all about adrenochrome, I mean, come on. It's just ridiculous and sad, and you're stuck. Get off, go on. And it's really sad, and it's one of those waking moments where you sit and think, shit, if that's what Disney was a paedophile and they've been rubbing our faces in it, what the hell have they been doing to the kids? 22,000 children disappear every single day. Do you know that? 22,000. Where's the news reports? Where are the marches? What the hell? Why is it's this year that it comes out when it's been something that's been ongoing for decades? How have these people managed to slip it underneath the radar? Why don't people in the media do reporting on this? Why aren't people questioning why the media aren't reporting on this? I mean, there's so many different questions that we need to ask. Angie says she was out shopping today with her mum, who is red-pilled. The assistant asked her if she wanted to borrow a mask. No joke, a clear visor. Yeah, I've seen the clear visors. So the clear visors actually run to the bottom of your face, but doesn't actually stop the air and everything coming up inside it. And if it's a hot day and you're breathing out, it steams it all up inside. So, I mean, if you do have one of those clear masks, the best way of doing that is actually use motorcycle helmet, or you can get a spray that stops it from steaming up, or the old-fashioned way, and the way that I always used on my motorcycle helmets was a little bit of fairy liquid, rub on the inside, and it stops it from, and on the outside, obviously, it runs the water off on the outside, but on the inside, it stops it from steaming up. Rising Green says the builders merchants today had 2 boxes of pen to sign a slip. Take pen from box marked sterilise sign. Really? God. Really? They'd save themselves a fortune if they just got people to do the hand sanitisation as they're walking through the door. Then it doesn't matter what they touch. Angie says if Hillary Clinton had got in, we would already be in FEMA camps. Yeah, I dread to think what would happen to us over in the UK. Place pen in box marked infected. Really? Oh, God. The world's gone mad. I mean, honestly. Darcy says, I'm the only one in my town with no mask. It's a joke. Oh, trust me. I mean, I literally... I drove through town. I went for a meal with my friend today, and I drove through town, and on the way back, I literally took the detour and went through town. And whereas before, the last time I drove through town, 1 in 4 was wearing a mask. Now it's 1 in 4 aren't wearing a mask while they're walking down the road. Come on, people, wake up. If it says that you wear a mask, if you can't be if you're in a confined space and you can't social distance 6 foot, you're outside, you're in the open air. What the hell are you doing wearing a mask? It's Dodge Tosi Bakamoto. Woof. How you doing, honey? Rising Green says, I gave up on life when I found out Santa wasn't real. Darcy says, did Goodyear stock plunge today? I don't know. Did it? Go and have a look. Let me know. Steve Willett says, what? There's no Santa, Mr. Green. Oh my God. Oh my God. No. And says, Darcy, what gets me is people walking outside wearing their masks. Yeah, great minds think alike, both of us. Steve says, good day, lurkers. Well, good day to you, Steve. Rising Green says, I assume the loans from old system given with 12 months no repayment will allow enough time to get the old system money into infrastructure before the old system is cancelled. Under Nasara Jisara, under the new system, there can't be interest from what I understand, and the loans under the old system can't be legal unless they write a law that says that it can carry over. And then they'd have to caveat that and put through so much, and then banks are still going to go bankrupt because obviously most banks have a working capital that runs them like 3 months at a time. So if you've got all of your income, which is the money that they get from credit cards, loans, and all that sort of stuff, from the money that they money laundered illegally, and you've got 3 months, 6 months hiatus on the payments of that, then they're going to be in financial strife. Then add to the fact that they gave you that loan illegally in the first place because they didn't actually have the money to lend you. They just created it out of thin air and put it in your account and are money laundering by charging you interest and getting you to repay that plus interest, right? That is the old system. New system, you can't do that. Can they move the old system into the new system? I don't know. I will be watching Santa Surfing and Charlie Ward extremely closely to see what comes up with that, because Charlie Ward is an ambassador for the Jisara, and I don't know who the ambassador for the Nasara in the UK is, but he did interview the ambassador for the Nasara in Scotland. But they're telling us stuff piecemeal, bit by bit by bit by bit. Put the light on, and that's to ease us into it gently. I mean, most of us, we want to know now. Literally, I just throw it at me. I'm ready. Just throw it at me. I'll disseminate it. It's fine. I'll do it in a nice and positive way. But yeah, that's what they do. They're literally feeding us little bit by little bit, just to tidbit at a time. They feed us a bit, we get used to it. They feed us the next bit, we get used to it. Bill says the market doesn't reflect a recession depression, which is good for an economy in the long term. I believe that we are headed towards a massive recession, but not for a while. We're in it, Bill. Full stop. We're in it. Why do you think they made up the pandemic? The pandemic. It's to give them the excuse to do what they need to do. If we hadn't shut down when we did, I firmly believe that restaurants and bars and businesses would be closing anyway. And there would be no backup. At least this way, people that would have been laid off, people that would have lost their jobs. What happened was they are being paid. You know, the unemployed got more money. Why would they do that? Because they weren't affected by not working, because they're already not working. So you've got to think about the logic to the situation that you're sitting in, and it literally does make a massive question mark on what they're doing and how they're doing it. And then you think of why it, and I don't know for sure, but this is all my speculation and none of it is financial advice. But sorry, had to throw that in. But this is all just what I see from joining dots, and it could be wrong. There might be some more information coming in later, and then I've got to amend everything and say, well, actually, no, that doesn't work because this happened. So now this is what I'm thinking. You know, you can only work with the information that you're given, and I'm not in the know with any shape or form. People like Charlie I'm watching because they're in the know. They know more than what they're saying, which means that what they're saying makes sense given the next layer that's coming, if that makes sense. Bill says they will keep printing money because it's working. They will keep printing money until it stops working, but in my honest, not for a while. They kept on printing money. And if they don't do something now, then you're going to end up like Venezuela. we're all going to end up like Venezuela, because inflation is going to go up so high. You're going to have the equivalent of a wheelbarrow full of money to go down and buy a loaf of bread. Not happening. Venezuela was almost like a test, and it failed miserably. And in fact, Venezuela, I think, are putting their money in Bitcoin to try and save some, because the inflation was so ridiculously high. Again, not an expert on that side of it, but just putting things together. And if Charlie Ward says that the new quantum financial system is in place, which he did, they tested it on the 2nd of August, they put it in place last week, and he's saying that it's actually switching over come the end of August. And then we've got an interim period, what he said on one of the talks that I watched day before yesterday, we've got an interim period where there's going to be a crossover, but ultimately, who's going to use SWIFT if they can use the on-demand liquidity? Anyone? It's slow, it's expensive, against 4 seconds and cheap. Just saying. Rising Green says, haven't seen the sun today. No, right? Ducks are really happy today. It's been raining almost all day, heavily. Here in the Sunshine Coast, we're in the Sunshine Coast. It's deluged, literally deluged, but not as bad as it did in Suffolk. Suffolk a couple of days ago completely flooded. They had it's like God opened a dam up and just dumped the whole lot all in one go. My friend was literally tipping water out from her near her horses' stables to stop them going underwater. It was that bad. Banks are gangsters. Yes, they are. And they're the biggest criminals going, and the only ones that don't go to prison. I don't understand why they don't go to prison for what they do. Nobody's culpable. It's like the vaccination companies. They're not culpable. There's no way they can be prosecuted for what they do. They do it wrong. Oh, well, shame. Nothing that can be done. Oh, well, 1 in 20 people ended up autistic. Ah, well, just one of those things. And banks are exactly the same. Another recession. Oh, well, hand out, please. And you're not telling me they haven't bailed out some of the banks already, but done it on the QT. I've heard that there's been 2 million given to banks. Not sure if that's just the USA or whether that's sort of worldwide, but I haven't seen any. It was just something that somebody said and it stuck in my brain. So I'm not sure whether that's true or not. And it's difficult to actually find out as well. So I wouldn't know how to. Bill, it stopped working in 2008. Yeah, they did. It's just been kicked down the road. I mean, I think it was 2009 or 90? No, yeah, 2009. The USA was bankrupt officially. That's an interesting one to go and watch. I will share that. I'll go find that and share that later in the bottom, in the information. There's an interview where somebody from the not Royal Navy, from an American serviceman who was in the Intel division, did a really good chat about what actually happened and I'm sure it was either 99 or 2009, about the USA going bankrupt for the 3rd time. That would have been the end of the world as we know it, literally, because that meant that America come back under English rule, which would have caused absolute chaos, because we love you over in America, absolutely, but we don't want you to be part of England. You are a country in your own right. But they wanted us all to be part of the same thing, So unfortunately, fortunately, that didn't happen. Steve says, it's winter here in Canberra, so I'm golden, not golden brown. You're yellow. Is that because you're inside and having too much alcohol and you've killed your liver? Casual crypto guy is in the house. Evening. Oh God. Right. I am going to catch up with you lot. And it just jumped. Sorry. Sun and snow willets. Happy times. Yes, Mr. Green. So it's snowing over there. Bill says, but the type of collapse hasn't happened yet. We are waiting, but in my honest opinion, it won't be for a while. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They're going to bring in a new financial system, so it won't happen. Remember, the 1st of September. Yes, absolutely. And XRP chances in the house. Do you think that the governments will tell people that the quantum financial system has started? If so, when? I think there'll be an announcement on the 1st of September, or just as it happens, 31st of August. Charlie Ward is very interesting, not as good as the martial arts guy though. You started wrong. You started watching the wrong Charlie Ward. Rising Green says, "Boo, we follow the money. Elite's bets are on for January the 20th. Okay, no, that's fine. You've looked into that one. I haven't. So, Angie, the mask was for her to borrow and place in a tub for other customers. Oh, well, that's sort of that just flies in the face of everything that everyone's ever saying about that side of it. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Bowie, when we are digital asset millionaires and you come to the US for a visit, I'll take you for a ride on my Harley. Yes, please. And then let me have a go. I want to go. I can ride a bike. I can ride a bike. Haven't ridden a bike in a couple of years. First thing I'm going to do when I get some money, go and buy myself a bike. Rising Green says, as we, as a collective, turn a blind eye for decades and decades, those that beat the tramps in the dark get to do so all the time. Then they keep us busy so they can beat them in the daylight. Yeah, that's right. No way a debt-based wealth creation system can't take its oversold repayments into the new system. Game, set, match. I bloody hope so. I really do, Rising Green. And XRP Bags. Actually, people, go and follow XRP Bags. He's got some amazing music to do with XRP and crypto. Absolutely fantastic. Stoneman says, is it real? Did she disconnect? Oh, have I? I'm just catching up. Sorry. So if I'm talking to myself. Ooh, that store of value with NSA data evaluation transaction times. Give me a thumbs up. Yes, please. Thanks, Tony. Rising Moon says, a book drop. What really makes you ill on Amazon? 30 quid. 800 pages of medical vaccine mishaps. All diseases, treatments, and total carnage in the business model. Rising Green says, Hillary has my liver, boo. I'm free. Calculon. XRP Wave, aka Booty. Okay. No, Bags. Honestly, I love your music, and I love it when Mike plays it when he does his live streams and that, because it's going in the background. Sometimes he plays it so loud, but it means that we can hear the words better, so it's quite nice. It's a 2019 Harley Davidson Ultra Limited. It weighs over 1,000 pounds. If you think you can hold it up, I'll let you take it for a spin. Doesn't it have sidebars? So if I drop it, it actually doesn't hit the floor. I used to have a Z1000, which was really heavy bike, but no, it wasn't 1,000 pounds. But as long as you keep on going and then put the stand down when you stop, it'd be fine. What do you mean no? Okay. No, I thoroughly enjoy it. I love riding a bike. I absolutely love it. The trouble is, where my last boyfriend, we both had GSX 600s. My one was black and purple, and his one was red. And we used to take the bikes out, but he was a bit younger than me, so he thoroughly enjoyed laying it down. The trouble is, I didn't mind going out late at night, because where we lived, it was rural, so we were going down the country roads. So I was never comfortable leaning the bike down when you're going around bends and that sort of stuff, because if you've got a big car coming the other way, it'll knock your head straight off and decapitate you. That's my one fear. But I love doing it at night, because you could see, because obviously you've got your lights on, so you could see if a car was coming. So I used to and I knew the road, so I used to open it up on that. But stabilizers, no stabilizers. Don't need stabilizers. I ride bikes. I've been riding a bike since I was 17 years old. Steve Willett says, if it collapses, my exit strategy is to buy more XRP. Absolutely. Do you know what? I'm more convinced now about XRP than I have been since I started buying it. And when I started buying it, I was fairly sure it was going to go somewhere. Greenie, no, Harleys don't have stabilizers. No, because a Harley is a proper bike, absolute proper bike. Casual crypto guy says Gixxer 650. I had a 750 slingshot, shit off a shovel. GSX 650. I had a GSX 305 was one of my first big bikes after I passed my test. And then I had a GSX 450. Is it a 550? No, 450. Didn't make them in this country. Japanese import. Had it was liquid cooled. Apparently, hey Chris XRP. Apparently, they're really good bikes for racing because they've got a radiator. So so it was one of those things where it was quite well sought after. So I had loads of people wanted to buy it off me until I wanted to sell it, and then no one wanted to buy it. So I ended up going for a song, and it was a 1984. Sorry, not GSX, GPZ. That was a GPZ. GPZ 450, I think. I'd need to check my records, but yeah, good little bike. But I preferred my Gixxer, my 600 GSX 600F. I never got a 750. So because the 750Rs I would have died on because they were far too fast, and I'm a bit of a speed freak. So Rising says, if XRP collapses, I'm digging up all my obsolete 1990s £20 notes. Well, that's the thing. I mean, at which point do you get rid of the cash that you've got? You know, we were expected to go into recession. Everyone's put a bit of cash to one side, or should have put some cash to one side in case that the banks went down for a little while. So if you needed food, you could actually go and buy some. If you could find a shop that took the cash, actually. But, you know, it was one of those things where in this new system, how much time are they going to give you to get the cash back into the account? And how are they going to do that? Because are they going to change all of the bank accounts into wallets? Because that's what would need to happen. I know that Santander has built wallets now for all of their customers, so that will be a straightforward switchover, and I'll be really interested to see what that looked like. But it's it's interesting times because it's going to be a massive change behind the scenes, but it's only going to be cosmetic in the foreground. So I don't think that most people will notice much, except for it's going to look different. You know, and what's the difference between, you know, looking at it and seeing GBP sterling, and then behind the scenes it's actually going to be XGBP or XRP or, you know, whatever they call it behind the scenes, but they probably won't actually change the front. They'll still call it sterling instead of digital sterling, because that would be too much. I mean, when you look at when they were trying to get the British to sign up for the euro, people went mad. So as long as they don't scare people by saying, you know, this new quantum financial system, you're going to lose your sterling, in which case people go, oh, hold on a minute, we didn't want the euro, so we don't want that either. Bill says, Booey, I'm so glad you don't freak out and start screaming at me because we have opposing opinions. Dialogue is nice. Do you know what? I actually do not think that anybody has a right to put their thoughts on somebody else, right? You can have a dialogue, you can have a debate. I love a debate. I absolutely love chatting to people on opposite sides and putting your forward, and then they put theirs forward, and you find a middle line where you both agree. There's always something that you all agree on, but I find it really bizarre that people get really personal with you. And what's the point of I mean, I get a lot of on Twitter, a lot of the stuff when I come back and I say, why do you hate Trump? He's done this, and this. And then they come back and go, well, we would expect that from a Trump-tard magnetic jewelry seller. And I'm like, whoa, you don't know me. How can you say that? You know, just because I don't turn around and say fairly intelligent, worked in financial services for 33 years, have a more than a basic understanding on most things because I'm old. You know, I don't get why people would really try and enforce their own terms of what they think on other people. I just don't get it. And I think that's the difference between, I mean, you got passionate people on both sides, don't get me wrong, but there are some people that are so far left that you're not allowed to have a different opinion. And that's what I don't understand. The Facebooks, the Twitter, you know, that actually turn around and say, oh, right, you can't say that. We're going to term that as hate speech. Did you know they took down a Facebook page that was hashtag Save the Children? Banned it against community standards and classed as hate speech. Hashtag Save the Children Facebook page. How the hell does that turn into something that's hate speech? Save the Children. Fairly simple. Bill says, Greenie, dock your hat. I don't know what that means. Willits, I'm a well-travelled Yorkshire man hiding out in Cumbria Hills. Them 20s buried in Whitby Abbey. And says, you're not old, you have life's experience. I have so much experience, my hair's grey. I got grey hair. I'm 95% grey at my age. So, yeah. There was another thing I was going to play for you, actually, which I find, that way up, I found quite by mistake. And you have to literally, now I've got to find which one I had it on. I've got a few different phones. And it was bloody awesome, absolutely awesome, because, right, it's called The Best Argument for Trump 2020. Now, there's a guy called Charlie Kirk, and him and Candace Owens, they run I think it's a non-profit, but they run a company that basically goes into like colleges and universities over in America to try and show people that conservatives aren't the bad guys and that they need to have dialogues. You know, you can't just have a liberal outlook when you're at school. You can't just shout down. And do you know what? Go and have a look, because some of those are actually quite illuminating. But they're very good with their words. They use their words very precisely. So this made me chuckle. Now you're going to have to listen very carefully, because he talks really fast. He really does talk fast. But listen to this.
New York, who came down from an escalator, who was three times married and twice divorced, the most pro-life president in American history. Why is it that it took a billionaire from New York, who was formerly a Planned Parenthood donating Democrat, to put Gorsuch and Kavanaugh and 200 circuit court judges on the Supreme Court? Why is it that a guy that never served before in American politics is able to renegotiate NAFTA, get us out of the WTO, tell the WHO to go pound sand, tell the UN to go pound sand, renegotiate NATO altogether, get us out of the JCPOA, make sure those billions of dollars we sent Iran are not going there anymore, move the embassy to Jerusalem, recognize the Golan Heights, deregulate the American economy, make us energy independent, finally build the wall? Why is it that that guy did it? It's because every single other person that perceived him besides President Reagan was part of the problem. They were part of the very same community of people that were Ivy League educated, said one thing and did another, were part of the ruling class that protected the agency, protected the Bureau, protected the DOJ. And as long as you said the right things and kept the deficits going, raised the taxes, deteriorated the industrial base, boosted Wall Street profits, kept the borders wide open so that we could have foreign nationals domiciling on our country that do not share our values, eventually get benefits, their kids can vote against our own values, then things will be just fine. Why is it that this guy is different? It's because unlike any other president, he could have been in the ruling class. He said no thanks. He had enough money to be in the ruling class. He's got more money than James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, Smirk, his lover Lisa Page, and the person who probably published his book combined and multiplied times 100. He's the only president in modern history to have his own plane and actually go to probably a smaller plane when he becomes president of the United States. He's one of the only presidents that was a best-selling author, #1 TV show on The Apprentice, NBC, literally was in every single rap song, was glamorized. President Barack Obama said the American dream is to be what? Is to be Donald Trump. That's what he said the American dream was. Why is it that this guy's all of a sudden the populist hero? He's supposed to be part of the ruling class. It's because he's a defector from it. It's because he was in the dinners, he was in the cocktail parties, he heard the language, he heard the contempt that the ruling class, the Wall Street financiers, the Washington, D.C. lobbyists, and the Silicon Valley elites that he had to be around. He knew the contempt that they had for the plumber, electrician, the carpenter, the bricklayer, and the person building the very same building that he was financing. So he took the woman rank mentality, the philosophy that built that woman rank quicker and better than anyone could have imagined, despite the New York City bureaucracy and the municipal burdensome rules. He said, I'm going to bring this to Washington, D.C., and I'm actually going to do something a politician has never done before. I'm going to tell you the truth, no matter how brutal and honest it is. I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. From the time he went down the escalator, he was the only person running for office that talked about China immigration, the two issues that are most affecting our country now. How was this possible? Because he listened to the very people the ruling class hated. He would walk a job site and he would ask them, what's on your mind? He says, man, I'm really worried that we're getting taken over by China. I'm really worried that we're getting too many people in this country. I'm worried I can't pay for healthcare. You internalize it. That's what a populist is, someone who listens to the people. So what makes President Trump different? This is a president who didn't need his job. He's the only president in American history who's going to be poorer after becoming president than before. He's not going to sign a book deal big enough to possibly make up for the gains. His son, investigated by every single authority imaginable, from Bob Mueller to the House Intelligence Committee to Adam Schiff to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, after being set up from that very same meeting. His businesses audited and currently under criminal investigation by the New York Attorney General for no reason and no grounding further. His other son, Eric Trump, his charity gets shut down for self-dealing despite no evidence at all. He just wants to give treatment to cancer kids, St. Jude's Hospital. His 11-year-old son, under constant and daily attacks for just existing as a teenager or early, a 12 or 13-year-old in this society. How dare he live? He's the only person that would be more damaged materially, philosophically, and morally. Every other president ends up better on the back end. They end up being able to write their stoic journal and drama, being better respected. This guy is a vessel for us, a vessel for those of us that have nothing but resentment for the kingdom of Washington, D.C. The type of people that think everything is just perfectly fine because we just built a Hermes. Hermes is now in Reston, Virginia. Don't you know? Louis Vuitton's in Fairfax County, everybody. Things are great. Didn't you know that we literally have Dolce & Gabbana now in Georgetown? Things must be wonderful. You go into Washington, D.C., the cranes are as far as you can possibly see. The construction cranes, they're trying to rebuild the Parthenon, the Giza pyramids quicker than anything I've ever seen. It's more construction happening in D.C. perpetually. Why? It's the only place in America. This is why 8 out of 10 of the wealthiest counties in America are around Washington, D.C. The only place in America where they get richer at gunpoint. They have a multi-trillion-dollar cash flow happening into their center, into their power structure every single year, not because we want it. If Chicago and Minneapolis and Detroit, if people get rich there, they have to convince you to buy their products. Maybe it's manufacturing, maybe it's automobiles, maybe it's Best Buy, which is, of course, a Minneapolis company, but Washington, D.C. is different. They do it at gunpoint. This is why Trump is different, and that's why I wrote the book.
Market. Ladies and gentlemen, you will not hear a better argument for the President of the United States than that 2.5 minutes right there. Cut it, mark it, drop it in. Are you a leftist? Are you communist? Are you Marxist? Are you super right wing? Doesn't matter. You can't disagree with that. That is the best argument you will ever hear, condensed, distilled like a proof alcohol into why Charlie Kirk believes in this president. And so if you're looking, look no further. That 2-minute clip right there.
Well, thank you. Email us freedom@charliekirk.com. Here's one for you. Thank you.
Bloody amazing. I like Charlie Kirk anyway, but that was the one thing, I mean, that literally just epitomizes that poor man that gets shat on from a high height from every single person that is supposed to be backing him up. They've been chatting. Halifax already had interface update ready to introduce crypto, but not yet. Cool. There's a few of them. Hold on. Let me go down. Tip of the hat means dock the hat. Respectfully decline and appreciate your ability on two wheels, sir. Ah, that explains it if you're from Yorkshire. It's in the blood. Pontification is in the DNA. Right, XRP Bag says, we are almost there, family. Do you know what? I'm getting really excited. Bill says, I'd love to take my Harley to other countries and ride, but there are too many different road rules around the world. Like the UK, you people drive on the wrong side of the road. Ah, okay. Let me just put that one to bed. The UK have been driving on the left side of the road forever. And America, you're fairly new at this. Just saying. Bill Rising says, just drive down the middle. Everyone else does. Devon Steve is in the house. Tony says, you're not old. Some of us can give you 10 plus, Boo. Yeah, I know. You're only as old as you feel, to be perfectly honest. Angie says, welcome, Devon. Devon Steve says, yep, I am now. Just retired. Got some leave to take, and that's it for me. Done working. Welcome to the club, Devon Steve. Rising Greed, solid words. Perfect. I left my notifications on. Did I? What does that mean? Okay. I have no idea what that means. Bill says, I personally believe that Trump is a despicable human being. And that's up to you, honestly. You know, it's fly in the face of the facts. The fact is that he's done what he said he was going to do. He did what he said on the tin, literally. So it's one of those things where you either keep blind to it or you embrace it. There's only really the two ways. You know, you can hate him. You know, you don't have to like him. But as a president, he's a fantastic president. You know, people in the UK, we wish we had somebody like that. Somebody that actually puts the UK first. That's what we want. We want that. We want a prime minister that would tell the EU to F you, right? That's what we wanted. We wanted somebody who's strong enough to turn and say, do you know what? Being English, being British, being Scottish, being Irish, being Welsh is not a bad thing. Be proud of your country. Be inclusive of the rest of the world, but be proud of your country. We're one of the most, same as you, you know, the diversified countries in the world. You know, you can't say that about Western countries now. You've got the America and the UK. We are so diverse with who lives here, and people don't think twice. The only thing that we resent is when people leave their country and then try and turn their area into a little bit of that country. You know, if you want your country in England, then that's not fair. You know, you have that in your country. There's a reason you come to England. Embrace, or Britain, embrace it. You know, you don't have to give up your culture, but don't try and exclude, or don't try and make it so that you are your own little part of the world and replicate where you've just moved from. I mean, what's the point of that? You know, if you want to come to Britain, be British. It's not rocket science. If I went to America and lived in America, then I would class myself as American. If I lived in Portugal, right? I tried to learn Portuguese. I'm crap with languages, but you know, although I worked in English bars, we used to go out in Portuguese bars because we wanted to absorb the culture. We didn't want to be little Englanders. You know, it's a ridiculous situation, but and I do understand that people tend to congregate together, but to do that to the exclusion of the country that you've chosen to live in, I don't get that. You know, there are people that live here for 50 years and don't even bother learning the language, not even a little bit. At least when I was in Portugal, I attempted to. I wasn't there for long enough to learn any more than a smattering, and pretty much that's all gone now. But you know, I tried, and that's what you're supposed to do. Bill Gould says there's no evidence that supports that theory. What did he say? Don't know. Right, Devon Steve says, I think I've timed it well. With a lot of luck, we'll get a van and go travel. If you plan on traveling next year, I think you're going to be fine. Rising Green says, I'll hug that out of you, Bill. It's all going to be really good very soon. Trust the plan. And do trust the plan. And now you can see it action. It's easier to accept. Steve says, I'm a lefty and that's gold. Of course it is. You can be what you want. But it's literally, you can't argue with facts. And the facts are that you can't have a left or a right. It has to be a central position in order for most people to be happy. And, you know, I mean, that's why I liked UKIP. They took bits of socialism and they took bits of the capitalism and they amalgamated them all into the manifesto. I didn't agree with all the manifesto, obviously. Nobody can, you know, because there's obviously going to be other things that you don't like. But when I vote, I look at all the different manifestos and I say, right, out of all the manifestos, which one has the majority of ticks on it? And that's who I vote for. Luckily, the last time was 2016 was the last vote. Was it? No, 2000. No, actually 2012 and then 2016, I'm sure. Anyway, whatever it was, I voted for myself because I put myself up for MP. So I ticked the manifesto myself. So it was like, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. I'm standing, obviously. I had to have the, I had to stand behind my party. Feel good. They don't get where they are by being nice. They have a bit of the shark in them. They probably have to. Oh, and we are in a bull market. There's no evidence that we are in a bull market. Market cap just even half of what it was at all-time high. But it took 2 years to get to the all-time high? So it had to start somewhere. Casual crypto guy, we got Boris, or at least the same hairstyle as Trump. Yeah, I'm not sure on Boris. I'd like to believe that he's actually on the good guy's side, but and I get why he's trying to wake people up by pulling out this really stupid stuff. But there's one thing that I've got a real question mark on, and that was the law that they brought out under the table while Boris was ill in hospital, and that was about mandating the vaccine. They put that into law, and that goes against the Nuremberg trials or something. They when they put together, they basically turned around and said that you cannot mandate for medical interference on a country scale. You can't do that. It goes against everything, and anybody that puts that in place will be taken to court for war crimes because it's classed as a war crime. So, you know, XRP Chance, have you ever been recognised in the street as Boo Boo? As Boo Boo, when I go to the meets, like when I went to Holland, they recognised me. When I went to Wittering meet, I got recognised. I was recognised when I was at the DLT conference in Manchester last year. There aren't many people into crypto, so not really. I got recognised when I was living in Essex as the lady who stood up for UKIP and as an MP, because I had to do a hustings, and there was, oh God, I mean, there was room for 350, and I think that was packed out, and they were standing. And I held my own. It was the first time I'd ever done anything like that, so I was nervous as hell, but I'm used to doing presentations. But that was the biggest crowd I've ever talked to. And I'm not used to political speech, so everything that I said came from the heart. I loved doing that. I really did like doing that. That was really interesting. But and I used to have people pass me in the street and thank me for what I did, especially to do with Brexit, because I was also the Uttlesford coordinator for the Vote Leave party, which was really nice. It was an honour to be asked to do that, actually. Somebody noticed me. But now I'm in Eastbourne, so nobody knows me. Quite happy for that as well. Bill Good says, oh, no, just yanking the chain. So basically, Rising Green is saying manipulation, Bill. It's only allowed to grow at a pace that drives a greed, distracted cycle, hiding the truth, rinsing the corruption. Absolutely. XRP bags, evidence is in the chart. Bitcoin halving, alts moving up, pandemic, new cycle is here. Rising Green, Boris. Need to see some decent price action, Chris. Yeah, well, you do, but probably in all the on all the coins that you haven't got. Rising Green, chance by all her neighbours, love for crypto, those that love her, and anyone with a parrot. I've got a cockatiel and Weeks of Wind. He's got parrot. And Steve Willett says a pommy in Australia, and I'm proud, and a proud posse. Good for you. Good for you. I'd love to live in Australia. I actually really like the east coast of Australia. That suits me. I went to a place called Dingo in the middle of the outback. That suited me down to the ground. I was happy there. That was probably the happiest I've been ever. Bill, yeah, we are probably years away from the new all-time high, but a bull run starts and it can run for a couple of years, and the pinnacle of it, the actual bit where it shoots up, that only lasts a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. So but you have that build up. The build up is that it goes up on a real gradual basis, but it's like higher highs and higher lows on a more regular basis than not, and that's a bull market. So 30% of Australians are casual racists, and I mean that 70% are full-time. You can't say that. Everyone I've ever met in Australia has been absolutely brilliant. Steve says, I hate myself, so hating everyone else is no problem. You need to love yourself. You need to, because nobody can love you until you love yourself. And that's just the way it goes. And God loves you anyway, always. YouTube, how to speak Australians. Delhi School of Linguistics. Enjoy, Mr. Willits. When I came back, hi OG. When I came back from Australia, I've been traveling for like 52 hours. I hadn't slept in 52 hours because I don't sleep on planes. And I was carrying this didgeridoo because I've been out in the outback, and I'd made this didgeridoo with the Aborigines. And that was amazing. I've still got the didgeridoo, actually. It's the only didgeridoo in the world that's actually got a unicorn, because we painted our own. So the Aborigines did me an amazing picture. And then I had a lizard and a unicorn. So I did the unicorn, and that was phenomenal. But I had that with me, across my back, got my backpack with me because I'd been backpacking around Australia for like 3 months. And then I had this hat, this Man from Snowy Mountain hat, proper hat, cowboy hat that I'd been out and bought just because I could. I've still got that too. And I've walked through, and my dad picked me up from Heathrow, and my little nephew, he was like, I don't know, 3-4 years old at the time, came running over to me, boo, 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 boo. And my dad walked up to me, just peered down at me and went, you all right? And I went, good day. Freaked him right out. But yeah, I loved it in Australia. It was absolutely brilliant. And it was just one of the highlights of my life. You know, doing a nighttime sail over the Great Barrier Reef around the Whitsunday Island area, and it was amazing. You know, nighttime sail. There's no noise. It's just you and the stars. The stars are so big that you could actually touch it. I'm sitting at the front of the boat with my leg round the centerpiece at the front, so that I don't fall off. Drinking wine, and then all of a sudden, everyone else was asleep, and the captain's going and nobody's talking, and he put on Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. I was in heaven. I mean, that to me was a religious experience. I never felt so closer to God as I did that moment in time, honestly. Absolutely brilliant. Rose and Green says, Well done on the Digiboo. I've got one with me now from David Blanassi. Swapped in a Wagula with a battery gel in the desert. Crypto dig off. Let's do it. I can't play the didgeridoo. I've tried. I can't do that is it revolving breathing or something? OG says they still trying to check you into an asylum, boo boo. No. They never could. No. Can you imagine trying to take me away? No, never going to happen. Circular breathing, that's it. Yes, absolutely. Seen the Floyd a few times, top class. Yeah, I went to Momentary Lapse of Reason. That was amazing. That was absolutely amazing. But Bill says, Bagsy, now you changed your number. Did he change his number? Bill, $1 end of year for 100 XRP. No. Wash your mouth out. Darcy wants to go back to Byron Bay. And XRP Bag says it could go into January. Yeah, it could go anytime. And Darcy loves Australia too. There you go. Dockland Arena. I saw them in Wembley Stadium. That's how old I am. 100,000 people in Wembley Stadium to watch Floyd. That was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Right, people. I have a gin and tonic waiting for me. I've kept it to just over an hour, so an hour and 16 minutes today. So that's reducing each time for the last three times that I've been on. XRP can't be minimum 11,000. Ali Abbas. Don't know. I mean, it's one of those things that it could go up to 11,000. It might not do. It's Bill, stop it. Can be. Oh yeah, Canal. See this? It's called glasses. That's why I've been squinting the whole time. XRP can be minimum 11,000. Yeah. Yeah. Glass, water, straw. Blow bubbles, make bubbles without breathing out. Repeat and breathe in through your nose. See the bubbles whilst you took a breath. Nailed it. Who needs crypto? Glass, water, straw. Blow bubbles, make bubbles without breathing out. Repeat and breathe in through your nose. Do you know what? I might try that. That might be something that I'll try while I'm watching YouTube. Although I've got to wait because everything that I own is actually in a lockup at the moment, so it's in storage. Right, guys, I really need to go. Great to see you all. Honour and a pleasure. Thank you very much for coming in. I've had 15 people in. I've got 12 thumbs up. Thank you very much. If you don't mind, click the thumbs up on the way out. Not that it makes any difference. So I'm not into it for to be noticed by anybody else except for the people in the community, which will be absolutely got 14 Berthold. Bill says I'll up my bet 1,000 XRP and we won't hit a new all-time high by end of year. Any takers? No, of course we're not going to hit all-time high by end of year. We might hit all-time high sometime in the next year to 2 years. But it doesn't stop us being in a bull run. The bull run is not parabolic until the end of the bull run. The bull run can take 2 years to get there. Steve Willett says, I practiced the didgeridoo on a dunny roll. That's a great end to a good stream. Thank you. You've just made my day. 1 to 2 years, maybe. Yeah, absolutely. It all starts now, though. So I'm going to wish you good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, wherever you are in the world. You know, stay happy, be happy, unplug from the machine, watch the revolution as it happens. It's being televised. Jungle Inc. is correct. What 2 tossers put a thumbs down? Unbelievable. I don't care. A thumbs up, a thumbs down, all the same to me. And a dunny roll, isn't that a sleeping bag? Something like that. Don't worry, casual crypto guy. There's always going to be haters, and I don't care because I have to have a big ego in order to worry about that sort of thing, and I don't have an ego. It's not something that, it's just not me. 50 cents by next month, all-time high, end of year. I wish. That would be rather nice. Can't guarantee it though, so that's down to you lot to make peace with what you know. Right, I'm going to end the stream now, so goodbye, good night. No, Willits wouldn't give me a thumbs down, Rising Green. Catch you later. Ta-da.